Hey guys, Luke here. For today's video, going to be talking about the Broncos appointing Kevin Walters as their coach going forward, and also the fact that he's not going to be coaching Queensland anymore. Therefore, Wayne Bennett is apparently going to be coaching Queensland. Now, I don't think that one's official, but Kevin Walters is definitely official. He's definitely the Broncos coach. I'm not sure how many years it was for. Hopefully not 5 years like they did for Seabolder. Hopefully they've learned from their mistakes. But Kevin Walters, he is the new coach. He's been wanting it for a long while. He's actually just been wanting an NRL gig in general by the sounds of things. Just some sort of Queensland team, but particularly the Broncos. And he's finally got it. Now, I don't know if I'm the biggest fan of Kevin Walters as a coach, but it's kind of hard to say because he's, in my general knowledge of it, he's only really coached for Queensland. I know he had a stint overseas, which I think he didn't go very well. I think that was him. Maybe it wasn't. I don't know if it was him. But in terms of coaching at NRL, he's never done it before. So there's a lot of question marks, and he's virtually an unknown. Now, I think what helps him is that he's a club legend. Now, we've seen that hasn't always worked out for other coaches. I mean, we look at Dean Pay and McGregor just got sacked in the previous years, and they were both club legends of the Bulldogs and the Dragons, respectively, for each club. So that doesn't mean that Kevin Walters is going to translate over to being a good coach or even being a decent coach. What he's just got to be is just be better than Seabold, essentially. Now, I think what goes well for him is, like I said, he's a former Broncos legend, kind of just a legend in general. He's obviously been the Queensland coach. He's got a relationship with some big name players. So you think he might be able to recruit some big names, possibly. Look, I'll be honest, the Queensland side doesn't have the biggest of names these days. So it's not the same as when Meninga was coaching the Queensland side and you had your Thurstons and that. And it's like, well, can he poach a Thurston? But I don't know, all the talk of trying to get Cameron Smith over and Greg Bellamy and all that sort of stuff. Maybe he's got some sort of relationship with Cameron Smith, can convince him to come over or something. Who really knows? But yeah, I think he will be an upgrade on Seabold. Seabold just didn't fit the Broncos. I don't necessarily think Seabold's like a terrible coach. I think he made some terrible decisions, but overall, look at the Rabbitohs, he was okay. But it's more so he just didn't fit the Broncos culture for whatever reason. That's what it seemed to me. It seemed like a bit of an outsider coming in and trying to coach. And I feel like the Broncos might be one of those clubs. I mean, they've had so many years, like we're talking about Wayne Bennett briefly being the Queensland coach. We had so many years of Wayne Bennett being the coach for the Broncos, and he was the Broncos. So going from him and then bringing in an outsider like Seabold, especially who he had been poached heavily, like they were trying to get him big time from the Rabbitohs. Meanwhile, was trying to shaft Bennett. I don't think it sat well with fans. Didn't sit well with the media. I think Wayne Bennett's got a good relationship with the media, which I think will help the Broncos. I think a lot of the troubles come from a lot of pressure being put on them by being the Broncos. A lot of their players, we've seen like Brody Croft was crying, and we've seen a lot of players look like they just weren't handling the season well. And I don't know, hopefully Kevin Walters comes in and he kind of steers the ship a little bit. It was kind of, well, I'll be honest, it was a little bit, not a little bit, it was very entertaining to see the Broncos have the season that they've had, like I've said in numerous other videos, just so they can kind of experience what it's like. But it also is kind of weird having the Broncos be as low as they were. It seems weird to have the Titans as the top team in Queensland. But Walters himself, I don't know of his actual coaching ability. I mean, he hasn't really demonstrated too much at Origin level, but then he hasn't really had that much to work with in comparison to New South Wales. So I don't know if I can judge him on that. Well, there's been plenty of NRL coaches who have tried Origin. I mean, Craig Bellamy couldn't even get the job done in Origin. Meanwhile, you had Mal Meninga, who failed as an NRL coach, who was winning year after year. So I feel like the Origin coaching, look, it just doesn't translate over to NRL coaching, and that's why I feel like Wayne Bennett, I'll get on to him in a second, but that's why I feel like Wayne Bennett will be, or he is and will be such a great Origin coach, just because he's more of like a man management guy rather than having to drill plays in and all this sort of stuff into players. At least that's what former players have said. I remember Dennis Kemp said something like that. There's been a few others of former players who come out and said Wayne Bennett's strongest part of his coaching is that he was good with players, he understood the players, and maybe that's what Kevin Walters is going to be good at. Maybe not. Remains to be seen. But at least they've made a decision. Now I believe they still don't have a CEO, which isn't a good sign. But hey, they've got a coach. And look, it's not in the most stereotypical fashion of having your CEO and then appointing your coach, but look, Kevin Walters made it clear he wanted the Broncos job and he's finally got it. So look, if it all goes to shit, this is what he wanted. This is exactly what he wanted, and he's got what he wanted. So it's up to him to now provide the results the Broncos kind of need. Broncos are definitely a club. They need success, and they need it pretty quickly. Now, I've seen a few, so I think Sam Friday, I saw him talking about it on Channel 9, saying, he thinks the Broncos can make the 8 next year, but look, kind of just making the numbers. And I feel like he's probably not too far away from it, but at the same time, the Broncos haven't recruited anybody apart from a new coach, and look, they're just going to have to hope that a big attitude change is all it takes, because they need a lot of improvement just from going from the wooden spoon into the top 8. We've seen teams do it, but a lot of the time it's come with a big recruitment drive, whereas Broncos they kind of just got the same guys. The better players are getting older. The only sort of, I'd say that the good thing for them is that they did blood a lot of young players, and maybe they progress a little bit, get a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger, a little bit faster, a little bit more experience too. And then you add in players like Milford and stuff who are off contract, who generally when sort of players like him, when they're off contract, that's when they seem to put in the most. So maybe they're going to get a good season out of him, maybe they won't. I feel like Dearden is their long-term half. They put big money into Brodie Croft. I just don't see it. I feel like they've got to ship him off, just like they're trying to ship off Jack Bird. Darius Boyd's gone, so the fullback position is open. Does that open up for Osako? Who really knows? I don't know who's going to play fullback. Milford might even play it. And then they have Croft and Dearden in the halves. I don't know. That's up for Kevin Walters to figure it out. So yeah, that's enough from Kevin Walters. I'll just talk briefly on Wayne Bennett. Like I said, I think it's a brilliant signing by Queensland, if that's the way to put it. If he actually has put pen to paper, he's going to obviously keep doing the Rabbitohs. But I think for him doing Maroons, I feel like at least they got someone who, I don't know, all the players, they might not be the best players, but they always seem to put in for Origin. And I feel like having Wayne Bennett as the coach, like this is the Wayne Bennett, this is the Queensland Wayne Bennett. I'm sure most of those players, if not all, have all looked up to, and they've seen him lead Queensland to victory, and they've seen him lead the Broncos to victory. He's got a lot of respect in the NRL, and like I said, all the players talk about how Wayne Bennett has a great relationship with his players. Even when the Broncos were trying to shaft him, I remember he had that thing where he's inviting players around to a barbecue and all that sort of stuff. So he definitely has a good relationship with the players, which I think is very important in Origin level, as to why I think Brad Fittler is a good Origin coach, but not a good NRL coach. Whereas Wayne Bennett, he can kind of do a bit of both. So I think it's a great signing, and I think he'll get the best out of the players. It's just a matter of whether those players at their best is still going to beat the Blues at their best. So yeah, Kevin Walters, he'll finish up with the Origin this year, take his last stand in Origin, I guess. And who knows, maybe he'll go to shit and he'll end up back coaching Queensland, or maybe he'll end up at Australia, coaching Australia like Melbourne Inga. Who really knows? Maybe he'll be a success at the Broncos. It remains to be seen. But guys, leave in the comment section below. That's where I'm going to end the video. But leave in the comment section below, what do you think of Kevin Walters signing with the Broncos? Do you think it's a good move? Do you think it's a bad move? And also, while you're at it, you may as well talk about Wayne Bennett as well. Is that a good move for him to sign with the Maroons? Is it a good move from the Maroons? Rightio, guys, if you did happen to enjoy the video, make sure you go ahead and leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new around here as well. Make sure you turn on the notification bell. That is very important. Let you know when I've uploaded immediately, so you don't have to wait around and go, who's Luke uploading? Is he not? Because a little bit inconsistent at times. Also, while you're at it, go ahead and give me a follow on social media. It's all on the screen at the moment, except for my Snapchat, which is also Mr. Luke and YT. Rightio, guys, thanks for watching. I will see you for my next video. Bye, guys.